My name is Girish Mathrubootham. I am the founder and CEO of Freshdesk. I'm really happy to be part of Startup Village and to be happy talking to you. I really believe that this is a great mission that Sanjay and team have taken on to bring college students like you to work on meaningful stuff. I'm really envious of you guys, because when I did my engineering in 1992 to 96, most of you may not have been born by that time, there was nothing like this. Okay, so we used to spend a lot of time at college wasting our time. I think what you have taken as the first step in joining in this program is something phenomenal. So I'm envious of you, because while you're in college, you have the ability to form these teams and work on very interesting problems with a strong safety net. So even if you fail, nothing's going to change, but if you succeed, you have such a big opportunity in front of you. So I'm really glad for all of you guys, and so I've been asked to talk to you about hopefully to inspire you. I hope that I'll be able to inspire you to continue on this mission for the next few months of your journey. So without wasting any more time, let me switch to a small presentation where I wanted to share a few of my learnings with you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how to start a startup, because that's where you're all in your journey now. So these are some basic lessons and lessons that I have learned. So hopefully you will enjoy this. So I've tried to put this into 4 sections. So the first section, I will call it the art of the start, which is how to start right. So at the beginning, right? So first of all, let me tell all of you big congratulations, because big change starts here for you today. And what do I mean by that? That you are going to go through a big transformation in your life. How do I know that? I know that because anybody who has done a startup journey or who has done something entrepreneurial is not going to be normal again for the rest of their lives. So this is like an idea virus that's entering your brain. So once you get used to this mode of work, you are not going to be normal. You're not going to be satisfied with mediocre work or so you're going to always be in an exciting work journey in your life. So I think so congratulations to all of you for taking the step on moving forward to build something on your own, which is what I would like to call your startup journey or your entrepreneurial journey. So this is life-changing event for you, and I really know it because I have done it multiple times myself. So you probably don't know it yet, but you will remember this later on. The first thing I would like to tell you, dream really big. So I am a big believer in the fact that we are only constrained by the limitations of our mind. So when you are in this, start thinking big, right? At least from a what can be done, what is the potential. Don't limit yourself to some small idea, and don't let anybody say this cannot be done, etc. Most of the big problems that are being solved today sounded stupid when somebody attempted to solve it, right? And I will also tell you, talk about your dreams to your friends, right? So however stupid it seems, the moment you talk about your dreams, you will start living that, right? And some of you will be really fortunate to realize your dreams. And I can tell you that the power of realizing your dream come true is such a great joy. I'll just tell you a small story. In 2003, when I was building my first product called Op Manager, so it was a network monitoring product. So I actually thought about what will make me a successful product manager. So I thought at least $1 million revenue should be there. Only then I can consider myself as some successful product manager. So I told my designer and friend, like the day when we hit $1 million, so there used to be a wall in our office with like 7 electrical DP boxes. I don't know if you know these electrical boxes. So I used to tell him, we will print stickers like 1000 and stick it on that the day we actually hit $1 million. And it sounded big, right? When we were not even starting the product, or we have a product but no revenue, zero revenue. $1 million at that time seemed like really big. But in 2005 October, when we actually hit $1 million, we really printed that sticker and we celebrated with decorating the entire office and felt great. That's the moment when I realized the joy of realizing a dream come true. And then I will tell you, I have been fortunate enough in life to see a lot of my dreams come true. So this is one lesson I want to tell you is start dreaming, start talking about your dreams, start living your dreams, and one day you will be fortunate to see your dream come true. Just to reiterate this point even further, I don't know how many of you know about a mission called Team Indus. So Team Indus is something that all of us Indians should be proud of. So this is a team that is landing a lunar rocket onto the moon, right? They are participating. They are India's official entry to Google Lunar X Prize. I think the prize money, I don't know how many, like it's millions of dollars, if not 1 million. So this is a team that had no formal education in rocket science, right? This is real rocket science. People used to say this is not rocket science, but this is real rocket science. A team was bold enough to dream that, oh, Google has a Lunar X Prize and it's a challenge to put a rocket on the moon, but the condition was it has to be done with private money. You can't take government help like ISRO or whatever. So there was a team that was bold enough to dream about this. They assembled a team, they collected some funding, and they have made significant progress. I'll encourage you to go and check out the videos and the website of Team Indus. So you will realize that how a small team with no experience, like how you are all today, can dream big and figure out along the way and actually achieve great things. The next point I would like to talk about is learn from the best. See, we all know that we are studying in engineering colleges. You are studying probably somewhere in Tamil Nadu or Kerala or somewhere in India. We all know that our education system has its, let's say, advantages and disadvantages. So, but we don't have to limit our learning. See, getting a BE engineering degree and actually learning useful stuff are two very different things. So, I am a big believer in learning by doing. So, all my education, I would say, actually happened after my college. But you have the opportunity to learn while you are in college. So, what I would say is the internet is a great learning, it's a great college, right? But we can all learn from using the internet. So, learn to pick your role models. So, if you are building a SaaS startup, right? So, you need to know who's doing the best. So, there are so many different aspects of building a SaaS company, right? So, where should you host it? Or how do you write, how do you design a website? How should you do pricing? How do you do marketing? Or how do you write website copy? How to do user interface design? So, you can learn from the best of the best companies in the world. You only have to know where to look, right? So, whether you're going to HubSpot or Salesforce or Freshdesk or let's say Marketo or Intercom or Slack, you're all using some of these tools. So, you need to know how to learn from these companies. So, we are sitting in some remote corner in India, right? I'm in Chennai, I don't know where you are, but this is our time to first believe that we are not inferior to anybody. If we put our heart and mind, if we can learn, Indians are great in learning stuff from the others, so we can actually build using our intellect, we can learn from the best and actually produce world-beating software. So with Freshdesk, we are proving that. I am sure all of us, some of you in this team are going to do this. So, but always remember how to set global benchmarks, how to select your role models and actually learn from the best. So this is again one of the common mistakes some early stage founders make or entrepreneurs make. So I wanted to bring this lesson to you so that you don't make the same mistake. So I always say this when I meet a lot of young entrepreneurs who ask me for advice. So innovate on the product, not on the business model, because business models are pretty much fixed. A lot of times if you're selling software to companies, right? So you have an on-premise software where people pay one time and then they pay a maintenance subscription. If it's SaaS, people pay monthly contracts or annual contracts. Or if you are a Facebook or a Twitter, your advertising revenue is your business model. Very, very rarely new business models occur. So I'm not saying it's impossible to innovate a new business model, but the number of people who have done that and been successful are very, very rare. There are many companies that have failed because they didn't understand the right business model. So I would say find somebody, if you are going, whatever you are building, find somebody similar. Do not innovate on the business model. Follow the same business model that they are using, but you innovate on the product. So one good example I'll tell you of somebody who successfully changed the business model. So we all know SaaS as it is today, right? But there was a company called 37 Signals. I know all of you probably know Basecamp. So when they started off, they were a small startup and they wanted to accept credit card payments from their customers. And till that time, all software was sold as either one-time purchase or annual subscription. Now when they wanted to sell annual subscriptions, the payment gateways wouldn't allow them, because if the small startup takes a upfront payment for a year and in 2 months if they die, then the customer risk of returning money to the customer falls on the bank. So the bank said, no, we will not allow you to take upfront payment for a year. So they were forced by constraints to accept a monthly payment. That's how the whole SaaS industry as we know now of taking monthly credit card payments came about. So that's why I'm saying even for them, they did not plan to innovate on the business model, but by chance they stumbled upon a different business model of charging customers monthly per user per month, which was not the norm before that. So rather than relying on luck to find a new business model, and when I say business model, I just mean how to advertise, how to market, how to acquire customers, how to price for your product. So these are all established for various categories. Just focus on following the same model but innovate on the product that you're building. So that was the first section that I wanted to talk about the art of the start. That is, before you decide to build, what are the things that you need to take care of. Now I want to talk about I want to share a few thoughts about the idea itself, right? The ideation phase. Some of you, I think, already know what you're going to build. Some of you, I was told that you are probably still thinking for ideas. So I hope that this section will help you with some pointers. So scratch your own itch is a very, very famous way to approach ideation, which is solve a problem that you have. Or Paul Graham of Y Combinator said something like very similar. We said build something that users want, or build something that people want. Why is it important? It is important to solve a problem that exists. If the problem does not exist and you are imagining some solution that won't be used by anybody, then your chances of failure increases. Now I am taking 3 examples here. So first of all, all of us know about Dropbox. So the whole idea for Dropbox came when Drew Houston, the founder of Dropbox, an incredibly smart programmer, he went from his home to the university and he wanted to copy some files, but he had the files on a USB stick. And when he reached the university, I think he reached the computer and then he figured out that he forgot to carry the USB stick. So it was a whole waste of time for him to, he couldn't do what he wanted to do. He had to go back and fetch the USB stick, and that's what got him thinking, why do I still need to carry the USB stick? The internet is there. I should be able to access my files anywhere. So that's how the idea for Dropbox was born. So there is a very interesting company that I like in Mumbai called Browser Stack, very successful SaaS company. So again, these are a company started by 2 founders who started from college. They tried 3 different ideas before each one of them failed or had very moderate success. They were working on their 4th pivot or 4th startup. So one of the founders had finished the coding and he had asked the other founder to go and test whether it's working well on the internet browser. So this person, very smart techie himself, was tasked with finding a Windows machine, installing IE7 or IE8, and then opening the browser and testing the software that they had built. So he was so frustrated because he had to do it for IE7, IE8, and then different machines and different browsers. So he suddenly came up with this idea of, why don't I build a complete testing environment in a virtualized manner on top of Amazon Web Services. So that is a very successful company today, earning like tens of millions of dollars of revenue, in Mumbai, very, very profitable, something that India should be proud of. And he's a good friend, the CEO is Ritesh. So I just wanted to call out that story of how he stumbled upon a problem and then found a profitable idea. So even Freshdesk, I don't know if you all know the story. Like this happened in 2009 when I was returning from the US. So I was shipping my stuff back from the US, and my TV arrived 2.5 months later in a broken condition. Now I had purchased insurance, but so I thought it should be easy to call the company and get them to refund the cost of my TV. But it so happened that I tried contacting the company by a phone and email, and 5 months and multiple efforts later, they wouldn't even tell me which insurance company underwrote the TV, right? So I got so frustrated, I went online and posted my experience on a forum, and other customers started engaging. So the next day, the president of the company, shipping company, came and apologized, and the very next day, the money was in my bank. So I realized that something was changing in terms of social. Like when I was complaining about the brand on a social forum, the brand had to be forced to respond and do the right thing in customer support. So as somebody who had experience in building help desk software for customer support, I thought this is an opportunity to build a fresh help desk. That's why we call the company Freshdesk. So it's very, very important to scratch your own itch, which is look for problems that you have. There are many, many college entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs that I meet. So even some ideas have merit. Like one of the ideas that I've seen come again and again, but most people haven't solved, is scanning of classroom notes, right? Meaning because you have that problem, like some good student who's studying actually writes very good notes, but all of us, all the other folks like me, want to study towards the end of the exam. We want access to the notes. So I have seen student entrepreneurs actually scan all these notes, catalog it, make it online, searchable, shareable, and maybe start a subscription business out of it, right? So there is a possibility to do all of that. So, but it's important to find a good problem which others will also have use for. So I also want to talk about a few ways to spot opportunities. So how to spot opportunities? So I'm laying out a few methods and examples here. So one of the easiest examples is to look at what is changing in the technology landscape and then see, can we apply that in any of the domains? So for example, I told you about Freshdesk, where social changed the customer support industry. If you think about Uber or Ola cabs, I'm sure all of you have used it. So there was a smartphone which had location and GPS, right? When Apple or Google made the iPhone or the Android, they were not thinking about the transportation industry. They were thinking about, oh, let's build a smartphone which has a GPS in it so that we can use location tracking. So somebody like an Uber or an Ola cabs thought about, oh, now we have this new technology where everybody has a mobile phone, there is location tracking, there is GPS available. Can we disrupt the transportation industry? Can we build a cab hailing service, right? So there are so many ideas in social, mobile, local, on today I would say artificial intelligence also becoming, or machine learning is becoming available as a platform. So can we take the available technology and look for interesting problems where we can use the technology to find good application to solve real problems. So that is definitely one area I would encourage you to look at to spot some opportunities. The second area I would say is, what is changing in consumer behavior? So for example, when IRCTC came and we all were able to book tickets online, right, for train tickets. Before that we used to stand in queue. I don't know, you are all young, maybe you don't remember, but in my days when we want to book a train ticket, we used to go to the railway station and stand in queue and book the ticket. Now Flipkart or e-commerce, you're saying that, oh, you can buy stuff online. Now Book My Show is a good example of, if I can book a train ticket without standing in queue in a railway station, why should I book a movie ticket standing in queue in the movie theater? So somebody thought like that and built a business. So how do you spot these trends in changing consumer behavior and then see if you can do something about it? So I have another example where anytime you call customer support, right? I know that everybody hates being on the phone tree, like say for sales press 1, or for billing press 2, and then if you want to talk to a real person press 9, right? people hate the phone tree. See, today with chat bots, actually the entire phone tree is being replaced, where on the website, instead of talking on the phone, it's the same phone tree, it's old wine in a new bottle, where you can chat, and there will be a chat bot which will actually present you the same options, where do you want sales or support or billing, and you can click one and then it will take you to the right person who will chat. So identifying trends in changing consumer behavior actually can throw up interesting opportunities for business. And the third idea I would say is, sometimes great companies can be built without any new change in tech or change in consumer behavior, but just by combining two or more existing technologies. A great example is intercom. I don't know if you know about intercom, but we all know about Google Analytics and KISS metrics and mixed panel. So analytics is technology that existed for at least 10 years. And then we also know chat as a technology has existed for several years. But intercom took this interesting concept of taking the event analytics and combining it with chat, and then putting it inside web apps. People are building web apps like you and me, and saying, hey, now you can understand what your customer or user is doing inside the web app and chat with them. So Intercom is a very successful company, probably around $50 million of revenue now, and growing very, very fast. Every 10 days they are adding $1 million of revenue. So the number one reason why startups fail is because they don't have a big enough market. So for example, we all know Flipkart and Amazon as big e-commerce companies, but I've seen companies like ricemandi.com, where it's an e-commerce store to buy rice, or there's a watercan.com probably, where it's an e-commerce store to buy only water can. These are very niche, right? So you don't do this every day. So I think sometimes I'm using my examples, I'm just using the example to give you an idea where you pick a bigger market, because in a big market, even if you win a few customers, you'll be successful, versus if you have a very niche small market, even if you win all the customers, you will not be successful. So remember this, the number one reason why most startups fail is because they did not pick a large enough market. So what I mean by that is, your problem or your solution that you're building has to be usable by a huge number of people, either companies or users. Okay, those are some of the points I want to talk about the idea phase. Now moving on to the build section. Now how do you build? Like, see, again, when we started this talking about what should I do in this session, so initially Sanjay wanted me to talk about how Freshdesk went from 0 to 1 million. So I thought that is not really relevant for you today, because you don't even have a product. So why would you want to know how to build go from 0 to 1 million in revenues? That is not the right metric. See, today you need a product that meaning you are at the drawing board, you have a team of people, you have an idea, or you are looking for an idea, you are scratching your heads, if you were like me 6 years ago, on what to do and how to build it. So I thought it would be relevant to go into that phase where how to build a startup, or how to build up the first version of your product. So the most important point is focus, right? Deciding what not to do is more important, I would say, than deciding what to do, because today every startup entrepreneur or every founder actually has too many ideas, and not rather than knowing what to build. So, and there is also a lot of free advice that people like me give. So especially if you have a product in the market, so people will tell you, you have to do inbound marketing, outbound marketing, SEO, spellbound marketing, and whatnot, right? So knowing what to do and what not to do. So when you are there, when you're starting up, it's very, very important to focus on what is the most important thing to do. Like, again, another important problem that I've seen is many first-time entrepreneurs actually suffer from what I call as a very big, you need to dream big, but when you start thinking of solving world hunger, right, or boiling the ocean, like you want to do everything, too many ideas, and you want to do everything, so you end up not appealing or solving a simple problem well. So you should not be focused on building too many things initially. So for example, I will tell you that a few years ago I met a startup in the US, so who wanted to build something for healthcare in the US, right? Now what they wanted to do was they wanted to build a doctor's patient appointment scheduling system. They wanted to have billing system for the doctor. They wanted to have electronic health records for the patients. They wanted to build a network of social network of doctors who can talk to each other. They wanted to build software for the medical, the pharma industry to automatically know what, connect them so that they know what medicine the doctors are prescribing. Now, all this may sound very nice in theory, right? But if you really go deep, even companies like Microsoft and Google are struggling to just solve the electronic health record problem. So, as a startup in a college, even if you solve the appointment scheduling problem for the patient to doctor, that's a big enough problem to solve and to focus on and solve in a nicer way. So I think it's important for you to don't get carried away with the breadth of ideas. Pick something which is a minimum viable product and then iterate and build that really well. So focus is key. So, and minimum viable product, again, lot of people interpret it different way. So I want to show you how to build and release minimum viable product, right? So, and I think the picture is self-explanatory, where you don't keep building something which nobody can use. So you see the first section where you're building like one wheel, two wheels and the body, and so till you finish the product, nobody can use this. So that's not how to build and iterate. So you need to build it in a way where you have a working prototype or a working product at every stage. The sooner you get to the working prototype stage, the more successful you are going to be. And I will tell you, the hardest problem for any software product is when there are multiple people working, getting all the code converged and getting the first 1.0 or 0.5 or 0.1 version out from your laptops into something that can be hosted and where others can see it and use it. That's the hardest problem. So how can you move to working product fast? So I'll also tell you the Freshdesk story, like when we started, when Shannon, my co-founder Shannon and I started. On day one, what I did was I simply purchased like a $200 open source code which can convert emails to an email ID into a ticket and show it on a form. So basically, even before we wrote a single line of code, I had a working prototype ready. I gave this to my co-founder and said, hey, here is version 0.1. So this is a help desk system. If somebody sends an email, it will convert to a ticket. Now you use this, and now, so we ended up rewriting the whole thing, but it was very important to have that first working version so that we can move fast. So I would say use open source, or so basically get to a working prototype as soon as possible. So again, the other important point is build what really matters. Now this is more for the engineers. So when I talked about focus, that's more for the product manager or the where you start dreaming big. Now here the engineers can do anything, right? So they will start with, oh, I need to integrate a payment gateway, I will do the server infrastructure myself, I will deploy it on a Linux hosting system, I will write the deployment recipes, I will build analytics, and I will build detailed logging. All of that is, nobody is saying you cannot do all of that, but you have to understand what is the core and what really matters, and all of this can always be built later on. So build what really matters. So you can always add on the other stuff later. So if you are solving for, let's say, customer support or transportation or let's say healthcare, so you pick the core feature that you are trying to disrupt or trying to find the pain that you are trying to solve. Build that core feature and build it in a very nice way with great UI and great user experience. That's all matters. So it could be like 2 screens, but you are demonstrating something. Everybody knows that everything else is a solved problem. So you need to work on it, but it is not rocket science. Like every company in the world has solved payment, every company in the world has solved hosting, every company in the world has solved getting analytics and reporting and all of that, and mobile client, etc. But what is the core? So in your course now, you need to focus on building the core and building it in a great way with good UI and good UX. So I will also share something that is my special message this year to even all the Freshdesk employees. So I think the theme of what we are trying to do, and as founders I want all of you to remember this, is we all need to learn stories from making biryani, right? So I will take an example of, okay, there is a very famous shop in, it started in Dindukkal, which is a small town in Tamil Nadu, called Dindukkal Thalapakatti Biryani, right? Now, I want you to think about this. Several years ago, you can see the person's photo there. So this person made delicious, flavorful biryani in this small town called Dindukkal, and people used to rush a flock to his place. Anybody traveling via the town would make a detour, go there for lunch, have dinner. Even chief ministers like MGR or actors like Shivaji Ganesan used to go there. So they all used to go there. And today, the second generation of his family, his sons, are actually building the business. So they are taking the same recipe and selling this. They're opening restaurants in Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, US, etc. And they are taking the biryani to the world, right? Now I want you to understand what I mean by this is, as founders, our responsibility is to make delicious biryani. And what I mean by that is the craftsmanship that you put into building a product. So don't worry about the business now. And this is something I kept telling strongly to Sanjay. So revenue will come. You don't have to worry about revenue. You need to worry about building. So when I say make biryani, I don't mean literally. I mean the flavors, right? The intricacies, the nuances. So the UI that you build, the copy that you write on the website, the care and the detail and the attention that you pay to every pixel in your product. So can you make a nice animation which people will like? If you look at the Uber app, right, today you can see that the cars are moving, right, and there's so much joy. So by the time the driver is going to reach the destination, Uber will automatically give him the next pickup. So think about all the details and how you can make joy for the user. How do you make the product better? You're all using Slack, right? So Slack is a great product, and think about what do you like in Slack, whether it's aesthetics, whether it's the user experience, it's the small jokes that come in Slack, or the billing. Like in Slack, you don't have to pay if you're not using it. The Slack promises everybody can use it, but in a month, if you're not logging in, we won't bill you for that. So that is what I actually mean by making biryani, right? So if you focus on sales, revenue, or building the business, you will lose the flavor. And you have to understand that the biryani that doesn't have flavor does not sell. There is no business to build if your biryani is not flavorful. So that is one of the key messages that I wanted to tell all of you, that as a founder, you need to understand that the flavor, the craftsmanship is the most important ingredient of a successful startup. If you don't get that, you are not going to succeed. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So the last point is going all in. So I'll also tell you that one of the other lessons that I've learned is if anybody wants to be successful in life, they have to slog for some part of their career. So this is why most of our parents tell us study well in 10th standard and 12th standard so that you get into a good college, so that your career is taken care of. But if you are like me, like we didn't listen to our parents' advice, so we ended up in a college where it was not probably an IIT or an IIM or whatever, right? So even there in the college, if we slogged well and got top of the marks, maybe we would have got placed in campus, on day one. So again, we did not have a lot of campus, and I did not listen to that. So my slogging happened after college when I learned Java on my own. So I used to spend day and night working hard. The lesson that I realized today, and what I am telling my children again, is it's the easiest to slog in the school days, in the early days, because your success only depends on you. In a company, your success depends on so many other variables, but there are people like me who manage to succeed. But the opportunity that you have today in college to, in the next 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, is to really go all in, give your heart and soul, slog it out. You are only learning valuable skill, and you are the only person who is going to benefit by that. That education that you gain is going to stay with you. You are not, I am not going to benefit with that education. Sanjay is not going to benefit with the education. Nobody else except you. So I think it is your opportunity to lose. But if you go all in, if you slog it out, if you actually pour heart and soul and blood and tears and actually build something worthwhile, even the worst case scenario is you would have learned something. The medium scenario is, okay, maybe it will help you get a good job. The best case scenario is you have a successful startup, and we can all celebrate together. So with that, I think I come to the end of my presentation. So I wish you all the very best, and let's go and change the world. Thank you.